Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new week here on KPRC2 Plus and click2houston.com of Houston Sports Weekly, our weekly sports podcast with the KPRC2 Sports Department. Randy McAvoy, Chancellor Johnson, Ari Alexander, and today it is me and Chancellor hanging out, talking some sports with you, getting everybody caught up on what's happening. A little bit later, we're also going to hear from Chris Canetti. Chance, he's the really the head of the Houston World Cup host committee now that the World Cup 2022 is wrapped up. Everybody's they're now on the clock for 2026, but that'll be a little bit later in this half hour. But we're going to dive right into some. Let's begin with Texans talk because here we are. We got 3 weeks left, 3 games left in this regular season, and the record is what you say it is. It's 1-12-1. This is a bad football team. Yet it is also a team, for whatever reason, Chance, last 2 weeks, they've had winnable games at Dallas, at home against Kansas City. Both teams expected to make pretty good playoff runs. So they're making some progress. And that's a good sign. It's just not showing up. They can't finish games.
We've been saying that every single week pretty much of the season.
Yep.
Obviously, they've only won 1 game so far this year, and they've been in so many of these games. Outside of, the Miami game where it wasn't much of a game there. There's been a couple other games, but for the most part, they've been there.
Right.
Just trying to get over that hump, and for one reason or another, sometimes most of the time it is the offense, but sometimes it's been the defense that may have lacked there, but they just haven't been able to get it done. And so now the question is, with 3 weeks left, who will be around? Will Lovie Smith stay? Will Pep Hamilton stay? Will they just choose to go in a different direction and pick a quarterback with what will likely be the number 1 overall pick, with maybe it's Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, or will they stand pat with Davis Mills? A lot of questions to be answered, but with 3 weeks left, they'll also have to do it without Dameon Pierce. He's been their best weapon offensively all season long, and now you're without him. So now you turn to this 2 QB system that worked against Dallas, didn't against Kansas City, and either way, they're still searching for a win. I'm curious if they can at least get 2 and maybe get another win for the fans.
I mean, there's a possibility. It's all in the Lovie mentioned it on Monday out at NRG Stadium. I mean, they're closing with divisional games, so that's kind of like on a 1-12 season, you're looking for any kind of bright spot. Right. So now the goal for the Texans is, all right, let's try to use these next 3 weeks and see what we can do. Maybe we can play spoiler a little bit in the AFC South. And they got a chance starting in Nashville against the Tennessee Titans, who are trying to hold on to this lead right now. Remember the start they had of the season? It was a pretty good start, I believe 5-1. They're 7-7 right now. They've lost 4 in a row. They've got to win this game, and there's going to be some elements weather-wise in Nashville that the teams are going to be enduring. I mean, I think the high is going to be between 15 and 20 degrees. The low is like 6 in Nashville, and so that's going to be a factor, and especially, I don't know if you've been at a stadium, but sometimes that wind will whip around that stadium a little bit. That affects a football game, and sometimes there's no wind. So, and then they got Jacksonville the following week, who's trying to catch Tennessee. So
they're right there.
They've got something to play for. Absolutely. Not a lot, but they got something to play for.
Well, 2 things. Going into this week against the Titans, for one, they were embarrassed the last time Tennessee played Houston right here at home. Derrick Henry had his way. It was like Burger King. Have it your way.
That's right. That's right. No, you're right.
They couldn't stop him.
It's like 215 yards.
And it's like every single time he plays the Texans, he seems to go off. And then defensively, that defensive line chewed up. Really, Kenyon Green, he had himself a rough start there against Tennessee. That for one, so they were embarrassed against Tennessee. And 2, talking to the guys in the locker room, they're tired of losing. Right, like obviously, you know,
what's it like? Have you ever wondered what's it like for these guys? They get their paychecks. We know that.
Course.
They're okay. But man, what's it like as an athlete? It's like every week,
single week,
man, same stuff post game.
And also too,
that's crazy.
We're going into week 16. These guys are banged up. Nobody is fully healthy, so you're tired. You're not, and at the same time, you're tired. You're hurt. You're banged up, and you're also not playing for really anything.
Right.
But the film doesn't lie, and these guys, some of these guys won't be here long term. You know, they'll be elsewhere, and you got to put some good showing on tape. But these guys want to win really bad, and we'll see if they can get one over these next 3 divisional games.
Yeah, we're going to find out. You mentioned Pierce, and I asked Lovie a little bit about that Monday. He addressed some of it in his regular routine, the news conference he does on Mondays too. Nothing but praise for what they got out of Dameon Pierce this year. You know, he came out, was he 4th round, I believe, right? Off the top of my head, fourth round out of Florida. we didn't know what we were getting. It's like, he's one of those guys, you hate to throw it out there, but it was like you heard the term upside. Had a lot of upside coming out of that draft. But, man, he quickly showed in training camp, he opened some eyes in a hurry. And even the media, when we were out there, we all the media, and you said, this guy's pretty good. Yeah. And, again, it was a practice, so you didn't know till games. But, man, what a great job he has been. I really feel bad for him because his season's over, and he was right on pace, easily surpassing 1,000 yards. Yeah. So he's going to fall a little bit short of that.
Yeah, and he was also in the hunt for potentially the Rookie Offensive Player of the Year. Yeah. With him having the season that he was having, unfortunately, it doesn't help that he was on a bad team. But I'm also really not mad that they decided to just put him on injured reserve. He's already has a lot of mileage on this season. So right. So he's been banged up. Obviously, as a running back, you're going to take your licks. So with 3 games left to where you're really not playing for anything, like, put that guy on ice, like, because he is one of the guys on the roster that you do expect here to be here in Houston long term.
I think so.
So you don't want to give him too many carries, especially when you don't have much to play for. But
I don't want to wear him out. And enough. We've seen enough.
Absolutely,
no sense risking another injury.
Right. But I will say, on the flip side, the other guy they put on IR, Derek Stingley Jr., I know hamstrings are tricky, but I would have liked to see him play a little bit more because he was still he already came into the season missing a lot of time. He missed pretty much a good chunk of the preseason, didn't get a chance to practice as much during the offseason. And leading up to the draft, we knew this guy was ultra talented, and we saw that throughout the season. But one of the concerns was health. And now you have a hamstring injury that was suffered in November, and we won't see him again. Yeah. So I'm a little bit disappointed with that. And some of it, it is probably more of a coaching, obviously a front office decision to just say, listen, we don't have anything to play for either. But I would like to see him get those reps and see him a little bit more out there. But it's too bad we'll now be without Dameon Pierce and Derek Stingley Jr. watching them for the rest of the season.
Gut feeling still the right choice taking Stingley, or is the jury still out as if can he be durable?
So
we know the talent's there.
So
but can he stay in one piece?
It's actually not about Stingley.
Yeah.
It's about Sauce. Sauce Gardner in New York.
Tearing it up.
And you can make the argument that he's been a top 3 cornerback, not just for the rookie class, but of the entire NFL. Now, I will say for the people, because that's been a
and by the way, debate. He was there. He was on the board.
He was on the board. It's funny. Since we're talking to our insiders, I talked to Sauce when I was in Vegas.
I remember that.
And I said, hey, man, how do you feel about Houston? And he kind of said to me, he was like, I don't know, man. I don't think they like me in Houston. I was like, what are you talking about? And sure enough, they ended up choosing Stingley instead. But I will say, with Derek Stingley Jr., they have different roles because Houston has been running a lot more zone versus with Robert Saleh in New York, it's man-on-man coverage, which I think Derek Stingley Jr. is at best for. So if they do end up replacing Lovie Smith and they go in a different direction, I like to see if D'Amico Ryans has been a hot name that's been thrown out there. D'Amico's going to play you man-on-man.
Right.
And we'll see Stingley's talent come out. But Stingley, when he played, he was good. But once again, Sauce was locking up guys, and it's hard to ignore that.
All right, so a lot happening with the Texans over the next 3 weeks, and then the off-season fun begins. You got the Combine in February. They'll be there. Could have a new coach. Yeah. Caserio should still be the GM, I think. Although I'd like him out, but I don't think that's going to happen. We talked about that last week.
Spicy Randy.
Spicy Randy. And then you've got the draft late April, so a lot of moving parts. Indeed, a lot of big decisions to make for the Texans as they move forward. And we've got another 4 minutes or so before we go to break. But Lovie Smith, does he deserve a second year? A lot of people believe, hey, he still deserves, despite the record. You look at the big sample size, and I heard a stat today.
Talk to me.
From Mark Vandermeer, The Voice. 10 of their losses, actually the tie and the 9 losses, in the fourth quarter, up or within 4 points in the fourth in all of those games. And Mark made a good point. Man, you go 500 in those. Just say you split them.
Conversation.
You're talking about a team that would be 6 wins right now. And in this division, this bad AFC South, kind of, you'd say, but they'd be kind of in the race right now. Now, end of the day, if you can't finish, it's your record. You're 1-12-1. I realize that. But it's not like they're getting blown out by 20 every week. And that's the one takeaway, and you're starting to see what they've done against Dallas, what they've done against Kansas City, especially on the defensive side. Does he deserve another year to see if these guys can. Now, you still might need to make changes. I realize that, personnel, but does Lovey deserve another year?
See, the thing is, okay, cool. I'm actually not really big on the Texans need to fire Lovie Smith. He's the problem with everything. I won't go there. But last year, David Culley was laughed at a bunch. People didn't think he was a competent coach. People thought there were much better options, and the Texans obviously did too, so they fired him. Last year, though, David Culley won 4 games.
Right.
With the same quarterback with Davis Mills, and Davis Mills looked light years much better than he did this year.
Yep.
So if you fire David Culley after winning 4 games, and you're staring at a team that might win 1, record-wise, then you look around NRG Stadium. There's no fans in the stands. Yesterday,
A lot of red in the stand Sunday.
yesterday we were at the Kansas City Chiefs game. It looked like Arrowhead South.
Even Andy Reid pointed out, he actually said there may have been more Chiefs fans than Texans fans in there.
And
I wouldn't even argue
how
that.
can you blame them with the product? Now, speaking of the product, that product is created by somebody else. It's not only just Lovie Smith. You also got to go by the man who hired Lovie Smith, Nick Caserio, with the talent around. So I also think this is a fair question. Did he get enough talent to field a competent team? But once again, a lot of this talent last year, David Culley was able to pull away with 4 wins. Lovie Smith only has 1. So what I will say is I wouldn't be mad if Lovie Smith sticks around, but respectfully, and I actually like Pep Hamilton as a guy, but Pep is not getting it done. I mean, the calls aren't great. He's not maximizing the players. The 2-system quarterback, it was cute against the Cowboys. It didn't work
Can't
against
work
the Chiefs.
long term here. No.
If you have, what's the old saying? If you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have 1.
Right.
So Lovie can stay. Pep got to go.
Yeah, I think that would be one move for sure, if not a few more, but all that staff, a lot of, they're all first-year guys. You got it.
Special teams coordinator has actually been good. Frank Ross.
He's been real good. Minus like a couple of instances, he's been really consistent. You got George Warhop, the offensive line coach. It was suspect early, but man, you see the O-line.
Has 2 weeks, no sacks.
Yeah, exactly. They're playing some clean football. So
he's got to help out Kenyon Green though, because that's a first-round pick.
Got to develop him.
You have to.
I would think he would be a little further ahead than he is right now, but man, he's a rookie. I mean, man, you see some of these guys. Kareem Jackson, as an example, when he first got here. Man, after 2-3 years, every fan wanted him out of town.
And he became a
developed
cornerback.
Exactly. And sometimes it takes a little time. All right, we're going to take a break here on the Houston Sports Weekly podcast. Good conversation there on the Texans. We'll be right back. We're going to talk a little bit of soccer now. And with the World Cup ending, they're on the clock now for 2026. Houston's going to play a big role with that. We will chat it up with Chris Canetti when the Houston Sports Weekly podcast returns in 2 short minutes. So stick around. And welcome back to the Houston Sports Weekly podcast. Randy McElvoy, Chancellor Johnson with you. It's a weekly podcast we do here on KPRC2 and KPRC2 Plus. Click to Houston.com. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. Am I missing any platform? It's out there somewhere.
Wherever you listen to your podcast.
That's right. I like that. Hey, we had a good conversation on Texans. Chance and I weighed in kind of where they are, what needs to be done, including our takes on Lovie Smith. So we will see what happens here in the next 3 to 4 weeks. But we want to segue now this segment. Talk a little World Cup soccer. And I'll admit, Chancellor, I'm not a huge soccer fan, really not. I don't like 0-0 games, I'll tell you that. But the World Cup I've always kind of enjoyed. And I'm not glued to the set watching every second of every match, but I kind of get caught up in the excitement of it because of the build-up, and it's once every 4 years. So I've actually enjoyed the one that just wrapped up. It lasted, 23 days? It was fun to watch.
It was absolutely fun to watch. Now, for me, on the other hand, I'm really big on FIFA. Some people play 2K, others play Madden. I was really big on
FIFA guy.
I'm a FIFA guy.
Okay, good.
But as far as watching soccer consistently, I've never really done that. But I do know the players, and those players, they showed out in Qatar.
Did.
I mean, there's so much star talent all the way around, and that included in that championship final. Listen, man, I wasn't joking when I said this yesterday on Sports Sunday. Obviously, I've watched a lot of sporting events, but that was one of the best sporting events I've ever seen. Football, basketball.
Yeah.
When you think about the level that was on in the championship round, Messi, Mbappe going at it, and they showed out. It was like watching, let's say Kobe at the end of his career. Elite guys,
Yep.
and then watching kind of, I would say, maybe like John Morant, right, the up and coming guy, and they were excellent. The goalkeeping was fantastic, and it was such a great game. But obviously Argentina, they came out on top. Messi finally gets something that's been eluding him for a long time, and I think that pretty much cements him as the GOAT.
I mean, if you were to draw it up, that's what you want, a game that's regulation, then overtime, not enough, you need penalty kicks. That's appropriate for a World Cup final.
You know, the running joke was, if you haven't seen soccer before and that was the first game you've ever watched, don't watch anything else because you might not get anything better.
They probably won over a lot of fans that are like sampling
for sure
that sport. And, man, if you're doing that and you're seeing all the fans go crazy, like they were in Qatar, certainly a lot of fun to watch. But Argentina is the winner. They won and beat the defending champion. Yep. France was back, and I was reading up. There hadn't been a repeat champion in 60 years since Brazil.
So hard
That's
to do.
a long time, man.
Yep. In Argentina, 4 years from now, they'll be right back.
Yep.
So will France be, especially with Mbappe's basically my age. He's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Man. He's a stud. Now, speaking of the World Cup, with the one wrapping up with Argentina winning, they have now turned the page, and the keys are being handed off to all the cities involved and countries involved with the World Cup 2026. It'll be here before you know it. It's going to fly by, and a lot of work to do. And, of course, Houston is a host city, preparing to host some matches. It'll be the early round matches. We found out, as you'll probably hear in this interview with Chris Canetti, Houston will not be a semifinal or final city, so they know that already. They'll be hosting some of the early rounds. But let's listen in now. A conversation I had, you saw it on Sports Sunday, part of it at least, with the president of the Houston World Cup Committee, the host committee, Chris Canetti. Listen in now of all the planning and excitement that's building. All right, pleasure to be joined now by the president of the Houston 2026 World Cup Host Committee, Chris Canetti. Chris, how are you, man?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing great. Hey, what a World Cup. I know you've been glued to it over the last few weeks. What are your takeaways now that I guess, hey, everybody's on the clock now on 2026?
Yeah, it was a great, exciting World Cup. The matches on the field were spectacular. And, of course, the final was epic between Argentina and France, and probably one of the greatest finals of all time, if not the best. So ended in great fashion. And to your point, we're on the clock, 3.5 years and ticking.
What have you guys learned as a committee now during this stretch of the World Cup, and takeaways from that and what you can apply to the games in 2026 and bringing it here to Houston?
Yeah, obviously we were paying close attention to how things went in Qatar, and we had some folks over there checking things out in person, and there was a lot to learn. It was such a spectacular event. Over $300 billion were spent on that event over there to make it just absolutely outstanding. Beautiful stadiums and everything. So there's still a lot to take in. We need to, download, but we have 3.5 years now to get ready and make sure that we put on another spectacular event here in Houston.
Walk us through the timeline now, because this just wrapped up today, and there's a lot of moving parts now. What is the timeline from FIFA's standpoint as they look to 2026 and make decisions?
Well, things are really going to start rolling probably over the course of the next 2 to 3 months. So it's been 6 months since we were awarded the hosting rights for 2026. But if we're being honest, over the last few months, FIFA was really focused on Qatar, so things have been quiet.
Yep.
So we look forward to things really picking up. We're going to start digging into the details now around all the things that we need to achieve as a host city to put on this event in the right way, from transportation to hotels to ground to stadium safety, security, all those different things. Now we're going to really start digging into the details.
What kind of reports did you get back? I know Janice Burke went out there with a team of people, and what did you hear back feedback-wise from what they saw out there, and maybe working a to-do list as you guys get things in order here in Houston?
Yeah, everybody was really impressed with how things went in Qatar and how everything was handled. The one thing that I've really taken away is it's going to be a much different scenario. If you look at the country, it's approximately the size of the greater Houston area, and they had 8 venues in that space. Of course, we're going to be 3 countries, 16 cities spread out. So the scale was super impressive there. In order to be able to accommodate everybody in one space. But we'll host 5 or 6 matches here, to remind your viewers, in Houston at Energy Stadium over the course of 3 or so weeks. And, we should be able to put on this event in style, like we've done with Super Bowls and Final Fours and other major sporting events that have come through here.
You really got a sense, and you guys were talking about, putting it into perspective when Houston was named a host city, on what it will bring to this city. When it arrives, but just watching the coverage there in Qatar and just the magnitude of everything you got a sense of what it's going to be like.
Absolutely. I mean, even today, visiting viewing parties around the city for the final, the excitement and the energy and the amount of turnout on a Sunday morning to watch this match is just a glimpse into what 2026 is going to look like. And, Houston will be just full of excitement and energy with people coming in from all over the globe to experience and celebrate the sport of soccer in what's being pinned as the largest sporting event in the history of the world. So we're just happy to be a part of it.
How about that finish today, man? Was it only fitting that it went to penalties and it was decided on those kicks?
It was a great finish, wasn't it? I mean, France looked like it had no chance, and all of a sudden, boom, in the course of a couple of minutes, they tie the game, and it goes to overtime, and, back and forth in overtime, and almost a goal by France to win it at the buzzer, and then it goes to penalty kicks. Tough way to decide a cup, but always exciting at the same time.
The quality of play, man, you feel and you see some of the greatest players ever that are out there, and the fans here are going to be able to see that. And that's the cool thing. All these countries coming together trying to win a World Cup, and Houston's going to be right in the middle of it.
Yeah, these are the best players on the planet, playing at the highest level, vying for the most important trophy in the world, and everything's on the line. And you see the passion and the emotion and the commitment and the desire. And when all that comes together, it's one of the reasons that the World Cup is such an amazing event that so many people get excited about.
Chris, we saw some upsets throughout this World Cup as well. Did that surprise you at all, or is that just an indicator of the parity we're starting to see across the globe in this sport?
Yeah, there were definitely some surprises. I don't think too many people had Morocco going to the Final Four, for example, in their pools. But that's always what makes these tournaments so much fun, right? Whether it's the NCAA basketball tournament or whatever it might be, it's fun to see a few Cinderella stories slip through and go for the cup. But at the end of the day, there was two giants standing in the final on the biggest moment. So, there's something about that as well, too, wanting to see the two best teams out there.
All right, lastly, back to FIFA now and decisions they have to make. Walk us through the steps, because at some point, I don't know the timeline, they've got to decide which city is going to be the final city, is that right? And walk us through the decision-making process of that.
Yeah, so we're still trying to get all the different logistics together and to learn those types of things. I don't know when exactly we'll know what games we're hosting and what rounds we're hosting. But again, we're hoping or expecting to host around 6 games here in Houston. We would expect to have a few group stage games and as well as a few knockout stage games. We cannot host a semifinal or a final. Our stadium's just not quite large enough. But all of those pieces will come together, including FIFA announcing where the final will be.
Okay, that's good to understand that part of it too. One final question. Team USA, what was your takeaway from the job they did? A very young team that was in this World Cup. It was good to see them back for starters, but they were able to make a little noise and get some experience under the belt. Many believe that's going to be a team 4 years from now that's going to be even much improved that can maybe make a run here.
Yeah, the U.S., I think, had a good showing. It was important that we got out of the group. I think everybody would have been very disappointed had we played 3 matches and gone home without getting out of the group. We faced a tough opponent in the Netherlands. In the knockout stage, they're number 8 in the world, I think. And we put up a good battle for a while. It would have been nice to win that game and go one more round and see what we could do against Argentina. I think that would have really created a lot of excitement and momentum across the country. But to your point, we are the second youngest team in this tournament. Young, talented group of players, and we'll only get better over the course of the next 4 years. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, Chris, appreciate the time. Chris Canetti, president of the Houston 2026 World Cup host committee. That's a mouthful. You've got a big job, and the work is only going to get deeper and deeper into it now as the months and years ahead as we count down the next 3.5 years to 2026. Chris, appreciate the time. Happy holidays to you, and we will for sure talk to you soon and stay in touch.
Thank you, Randy. Same to you.
All right, great conversation there with Chris Canetti. He is running things on the Houston side for the Houston 2026 World Cup. We can't wait. It will be here in a matter of years. But as he mentioned in an interview, Chance, I mean, now the work really begins. Absolutely. I mean, it took a lot of work to land that and become a host city, which they're proud of. It's going to generate unbelievable amounts of money for the local economy. Each game, and there should be like 5 games, is like a Super Bowl in itself. So just imagine 5 Super Bowls it's going to be great for the city of Houston and all the host cities.
It helps that the city of Houston has been there before on the world's biggest stage, whether that's the Super Bowl. We saw that, and the Fantastic gave us last time I was here. Remember, Falcons versus Patriots. The Final Four will be here this year. We've seen the NBA Finals. Obviously, that was a while back, but we've seen the World Series just last year. So we've seen the sports at the highest event, and we know how the city of Houston gets down. They know how to party, and we know there's some great fans here in the city. The sport of soccer is only growing right here in Houston, and over the next 4 years, I only anticipate that going even further. So to have that talent here in Houston, that in that world's biggest event, have so many people from all over the world, that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, they know how to host big events here. There's no doubt. You got the facilities, and like Chris mentioned, those early round games, I don't know if they'll be all in a 10-day period or not, but there'll be a lot of great soccer coming through.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And then the stars, we just talked about some of them earlier. But when you have Kylian Mbappe come here, you have some of the other guys across the other countries, whether it's Poland, maybe Messi will be back.
You never know. Maybe we'll get Team USA. That's going to be second youngest club in this year's World Cup. So 4 years down the road, they're going to be much improved.
And they're going to be much better. That was going to be my next point. So, maybe they can sneak into maybe the semifinals. When they get to the finals, it gets
probably not,
up there.
But you never know, man. We saw upsets. We saw upsets in this one. So great chat. Thanks for hanging out with us for the last half hour, talking Texans and World Cup. Good stuff. Always plenty going on here in H-Town. We'll do it each and every week here on the Houston Sports Weekly podcast. For Chancellor Johnson, I'm Randy McElvoy. Take care. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. And we will talk to you again next week right here on Houston Sports Weekly.